Namaste and welcome to a very special edition of the Bharat Varta Weekly. Of course, we have Abhishek in the studio today. Neerav is joining us remotely. We'll run you through the news and events of the week that was. It's been a rather slim week with some interesting news, I should say. There was the death of gangster turned politician Mukhtar Ansari in the UP jail. Then Congress party got served an income tax notice of 1700 crores. There seems to be a bit of a diplomatic tussle between India and US over Arvind Kejriwal's detention. And we'll also bring you updates from the IPL and also tests by HAL, ISRO, and BEML of the new fighter jet, the reusable rocket, and the new engine that we have for military tanks as well. All of this and more on this Bharat Varta Weekly. If this is your first time, we publish episodes on politics, policy, and culture every week. If that's your thing, do follow, subscribe to us on your favorite platform. All right, so let's get started. Abhishek, how does it feel to be in the studio?
Nice studio. Good to be here. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's begin with the news from Uttar Pradesh. On Thursday, jailed notorious gangster Mukhtar Ansari passed away due to a cardiac arrest. The gangster turned politician was sentenced to jail in 8 cases since September 2022 and had over 65 pending cases against him. His son, Umar Ansari, also accused in several cases, however, claims that his father was given slow poison at the prison and that they will be moving to court for justice. Several places in UP, however, are seen celebrating the death of an abusive and criminal mafioso. Well, interesting turn of events, Abhishek. I mean, not unusual for UP gangsters and unlawful elements to sort of die in mysterious circumstances, especially over the last 5-6 years. What do you make of this?
Yeah. So Mukhtar Ansari is like, I would say, in the top 1 percentile of gangsters in terms of their notoriety, right? So he was also very successful politically. He became a 5-time MLA from the Mao constituency, twice for BSP, twice as an independent, and once as his own party. He had a party called Qaumi Ekta Dal. So he held a lot of clout, you
So
can
I want to
say.
clarify that's Kwame Ekta Dal, right?
Kwame,
Not Kwame Ekta Dal.
it's not the commie as in communists,
Yeah.
but it kind of means the same. So yeah, I mean, he held a lot of power and positions of power in eastern UP. His sort of, let's say, his gangster regime or clout spread across Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Punjab, etc. Right? So let's say a lot of North India was under his sway, and I mean, there have been cases against him of land grabbing, as well as even kidnapping, murder, and so on. Right? And so he had been in the jail for a long time, and this last week he and his family members had been accusing the police of slow poisoning him and so on. And then we got the news of his death, I think Thursday, right? So the political reactions have been obviously in unexpected lines, right? The opposition parties in UP, such as the Samajwadi Party, have been decrying the death, saying it is like judicial murder or police murder, and they have been asking various kinds of probe, including the Supreme Court, to look at it. On the other side, you have a lot of people, as you said, who have been, let's say, victims of his, of his terror, who are celebrating his death. So yeah, I think he's definitely a very eventful chapter in the sort of bad lands of Uttar Pradesh. But I think overall, all of us should hope that Uttar Pradesh continues to get rid of all this crime and gangster kind of things, and continues to develop more economically.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, he is perhaps a Kalin Bhaiya equivalent from
Yes, I
Mirzapur,
mean, you
right?
can say many of these serials and so on would be partly inspired by him and people like him. Yeah.
So his other son Abbas Ansari and his wife Afsha Ansari are one of them is in jail and the other is absconding, so they'll be missing at the funeral apparently. Well, all right, let's move on to some political news. On Friday, the Congress party held a press conference where it revealed that the party had received a notice from the IT department. The notice included a demand of rupees 1700 crores to be paid for the years 94 to 95, 2017 to 2018, and 2020 to 2021. The notice, however, lacked assessment as to the nature of the alleged undeclared income for each financial year for the charges filed against it. The Congress party has called this as tax terrorism in quotes and said that the BJP is trying to financially cripple the opposition weeks before the election. Nirav, last week we spoke about Arvind Kejriwal's arrest, right? And this week we have the Congress being served an IT notice. The timing, well, one can't help but think that, this will hurt the opposition just weeks before the election. So, is the timing very fortuitous for the ruling government, or is there some, some kind of a conspiracy to it?
Either ways. But one is that this timing obviously might hit the cash flows of Congress party, but also it might create like negative press and for the ruling party BJP, and maybe if the ruling party loses sympathy of the voters, might backfire as well. So I think there are some pending cases. So one is 94, 95, also like up to 2016 to 2019. There's another one as well. So obviously, I think the tax authorities are the best ones to judge why, whatever this timing, etc. And this is what maybe the way this is kind of like it's debatable. Now, it is depending on the political acumen that does this actually help or hurt them. And second is that is there like a real case in there? If you have nothing to hide, then this should be squashed easily. Lastly, this also tells you about like India's lack of decent infrastructure in ability to handle cases fast and move it on. So I think all of this is also maybe similar the way Donald Trump has had all these tax cases right now. So again, it's very difficult to say anything till like there are more details out there. Obviously, we are not privy to the inside workings, and I would suggest, or I would have said that if there are cases pending from the 90s, they should have been handled a lot earlier. If this kind of timing just around the election time, etc., does look a bit bad. And who knows what the actual effects are? We'll all know June 4th, right?
Right.
So, yeah, let's wait and watch.
Yeah, but let me push back a little bit on that, right? Which is that I think elections happen all the time in India, right?
Yeah,
And the state administration or in general, law and order can't like time things in such a way that they find time between elections and so on, right? I mean,
true.
so I think the various machineries of the government have to function irrespective of the
Yes.
election cycles as such. And you make of the timing what you will, right? But the challenge is, I mean, if they're in the wrong, then they have,
Oh,
then they have to justify why they're in the wrong for sure.
yes. No, so absolutely. So I'm just saying, probably this could have been done 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a few months ago. Or if like there are issues from the
No, it lends to a
1990s.
narrative basically.
Yes, lends to a narrative, and so that is the thing. So that could have been done even 5 years ago, and so that's what it is. Doesn't see even for like people being hit with income tax notices many years after. That is an issue with our tax system. So I think that is a capacity issue more than anything else. We need to have better even dispute resolution mechanisms with more courts, more judges, and I think the income tax officers as well. So, and now with probably with AI, automation, etc., like a lot of big data, I think things should be handled a lot better, hopefully. But yeah, if you're clean, then there's nothing to hide. So that should all be fine. But yeah, let's see. Let's see how it plays out. It is the thing is all of this doesn't look good for anyone. In fact, so not for Congress, not for BJP. BJP looks a little bit vindictive. Congress looks as if it's been hiding something. Income tax department looks bad because why are they waiting so long to like actually hit on these notices? This actually shows that India is still a developing country and not as efficient as it can be.
Right, right. No, Abhishek had the best analogy. It's like almost as though we're winning the test by about 200 runs, and there is some DRS decision that unlawfully like kind of favors the winning side, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were talking before we started recording, right? I mean, it doesn't feel like election season, you know. The few ads put out by BJP, I mean, definitely, you know, are fantastic, by the way. Right? I mean, and that those apart, right? I mean, it doesn't feel like that intense election season is upon us, right? I mean, like how we saw in 2014 or 2019.
I would say that even the assembly elections last year were
Yeah,
a bit more
correct.
feeling like you were feeling it a bit
Yeah.
more in the air. So I don't know whether it is like the results feel foregone conclusions. So both sides are not very like one side is not enthusiastic, the other side is kind of very satisfied, or something else is up. Whether people like eh, whether opposition parties have a fund crunch and so they are not going all out, or something else. But yeah, I think we are right now like just about a month away from elections in Bangalore, for example, and the city does not feel like it is fully into
Yeah.
election
No rallies,
fever
no
yet. Yeah.
banners,
Yeah.
no loudspeakers, no none of those things, right? I mean, you know, you can argue that a lot of the electioneering has shifted online via social media and everything, but I don't think that is the case, right? I mean, you still have to go out there and yeah, go to the people for sure. I mean, I think the Swayam Sevaks are doing that for sure, right? I mean, a
Yeah,
bunch of
but
these
they
folks.
do it in a sort of quiet manner.
Yeah, in a quiet manner,
But the
correct.
big political rallies, etc., are yet to start.
Yeah. If you guys haven't checked out the ads put out by the BJP, do check it out. Fantastic advertising, really genius, I would say. Very compelling messaging. All right, continuing on politics, the row over Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal continues as the German and US embassies poke their noses where they shouldn't. Both Germany and US, as always, sermonized India over to quote free and fair elections and so on when asked about the jailing of Arvind Kejriwal, even as they continue to harass opposition at home. The Ministry of External Affairs summoned the diplomats of both the countries over their unnecessary statements and made it clear that India will not tolerate meddling in its internal affairs. This sermonizing comes at a time when the opposition leaders in the US, Donald Trump, faces severe legal harassment as the current government looks to disqualify him from running for president at any cost. The UN has also made a similar statement about conducting a free and fair election. Well, come election time, we have lectures on democracy, right? We have rankings and so on and so forth. But do people really take this stuff seriously anymore?
So depends on which people, right? So so the academic or the intellectual community definitely seems to talk a lot about these rankings, and it I think the bit of the unfortunate part is that these, let's say we were talking about the Congress IT notices or the Kejriwal versus ED saga. They are both sort of feeding into the narrative that had been pre-planted, let's say. Right. That, democracy is in decline, India is an authoritarian democracy, and so on. And so, obviously, I mean, when the next round of rankings come, you can expect an even worse ranking for India now, with these data points being given as the justification. But coming to, let's say, the Germans or the US, at least in the US case, what I found is that what happens is there is a journalist who will ask the question in their daily White House briefings, and it turns out that this journalist was both the times was a Bangladeshi journalist who has who is a big supporter of the opposition there. So
Right.
he's like an anti-India journalist from Bangladesh who is prodding or asking these questions, and these guys are also like giving sort of boilerplate answers that okay, yeah, we wish the election is free and fair. I mean, I will not say that they made some outlandish statements on the particulars of the case. They sort of gave very generic kind of statements. Obviously, if it had been asked of the, let's say, the Republican, they would have said it's India's internal matter, no comments. Like that is the other way you can just handle it.
Right.
But let's say the Democrats will give these kind of, boilerplate generic statements. So that's the difference. I think the UN also commented, but I mean, there is no, the UN has anyway no value or power right now in significant terms. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
pretty much, right? Uh, on a funny note, AAP released a video of Mr. Kejriwal's wife, Sunita Kejriwal, talking to the public to gain sympathy, where she stated that, Mr. Kejriwal apparently said, मेरा शरीर जेल में है, लेकिन मेरी आत्मा दिल्ली के साथ है, आंख बंद करके मुझे अपने पास महसूस करो. Right? I mean, I did see the video, and yeah, she really put all of those emotions into it also. Right? I mean, it seems a bit mawkish, but I suppose it is election season, so everything is kind of fair game. Yeah, yeah. All right, let's move away from elections and politics. Over the past week, HAL, ISRO, and BEML, or Bharat Earth Movers Limited, successfully tested the next gen vehicles in each field to enhance India's capabilities. HAL successfully tested the Mk-1A, an indigenous 4.5 generation all-weather and multi-role fighter aircraft. The IAF is expected to receive 83 of these jets over the next 5 years as a part of a 48,000 crore deal signed in February of 2021. ISRO successfully tested the flight and landing capabilities of a reusable rocket, Pushpak. This simulated high speed landing scenarios, validating critical technologies for space missions, and showcased ISRO's indigenous capabilities. BEML successfully test fired its first indigenous 1500 HP engine for military vehicles. Wow. So that's a lot of things happening. Neerav, I mean, this whole defense indigenization has been a theme since 2020, when the Defense Acquisition Council was formed, and also, the Prime Minister gave a call for Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? But yeah, are you surprised by all of these things happening
Yeah.
all together, all
So
at once?
I expected a process where all these things would happen over a period of time, but it is good to see that all of these defense PSUs are doing well, and a lot of these companies are also trying to indigenize the parts. So it's not as if like we are just assembling. So like the generation one, we're dependent a lot more on like Russian technology. A lot of Russian uh, related defense equipment was there. Some of it was manufactured locally, but critical components always had to be imported. So all of this, so ISRO, HAL, BEML, Bharat Earth Movers Limited, all of them. So one is just if all PSUs could be a little more efficient and increase efficiency, that goes a long way. And it's not just in the defense sector; that's in every sector. But this indigenization is it's again, it's a few steps ahead in a long journey till we really get independent, and that makes us really Atmanirbhar, where we don't need to depend on others, and our foreign policy can be independent, serving India's interests. So that's absolutely critical. And having a strong manufacturing industry, having a strong design capability in a defense industry is always important for a large country. See, we cannot be a small vassal state or like ally with one of the powers and be very dependent on them. So this is very critical. All of these are very positive news, and hopefully, like every week in Bharat Varta, we come up with something new each week. And this, and lastly, when these things happen, it inspires a whole younger generation who want to get into these fields. Right? It's not just that we are importing arms and weapons and like higher technology all comes from overseas. A lot of this indigenous development as well, and hopefully there are a lot of defense related startups a lot of small companies which come in, and once the defense industry is there, there'll be spillovers to your other manufacturing industries, other products. You see Israel as one example, which has a lot of advanced manufacturing and advanced industry, despite being a small country. That is due to their defense capability. So, absolutely, all these three things are very positive and like just delighted.
Yeah. By the way, did you catch the conversation between Bill Gates and the Prime Minister?
Oh no, that one I've missed.
Yeah. So I watched about three-fourths of it, right? And what was remarkable, and I should say is one of the better chats that I've seen of in recent times of the Prime Minister with someone else, right? Long form conversation, I should say. What was awesome is the emphasis on a lot of this technology, right? I mean, the Prime Minister spoke about the digital public infrastructure that we have, and specifically about the consequences of AI, right? He said that you should try to outcompete ChatGPT, when you're trying to write some things and whatnot, right? I mean, seriously, I mean, the fact that he knows all of these things and perhaps also is using some of this stuff, right? He mentioned, for instance, when he was in Kashi and he was speaking to the Tamil Sangam there, right? Real-time translation of what he was saying in Hindi to Tamil was possible with AI and so on, right? So, yeah, fantastic stuff, really. So if you guys haven't checked out that yet, I would highly encourage that you guys check out the conversation between Bill Gates and Mr. Narendra Modi. Bill Gates seems like a very good host. Yeah. So, all right, folks, down to IPL right now. And as a Bangalore fan, I should perhaps say as little as possible. But yeah, I mean, what should I say? We've started off in typical fashion, losing the first two matches, right? And I think I personally feel we lose these matches even before the match starts, right? I mean, at the selection itself, right, with the horrendous bowling lineup that we have, right, and an over reliance on the usual suspects, right, Kohli or whoever else. So yeah, but anyone else have any positive news? I mean, KKR won, so
No, in terms of Bangalore, I think at least Kohli seems to be in good form. So
Yeah.
probably that is good news for India because, see, I think people like Kohli, their selection is not in question ultimately, right? So you have to hope that he is in good form going into the World Cup. And yeah, I think as you said, it is the lack of bowling quality which will again hurt, or it is already hurting RCB this year. Yeah.
yeah. Nirav, have you followed all of the controversy over the Mumbai captaincy? I mean, people seem to be like dunking on Hardik Pandya big time right now.
So,
So yeah.
one is, I think the Mumbai Indians management, the Reliance Group, they've kind of made a decision. Probably it's done more thinking that, oh, Rohit Sharma is older and like trying to maintain the transition rather than cricketing reasons. I feel like that is probably one of the reasons. Second thing is, what I feel is Rohit Sharma is quite very nice with his bowling changes, very subtle, and like he keeps rotating the bowlers around. Hardik Pandya probably rates himself as a much better bowler than he actually is. So he bowled himself a lot more, and Gerald Coetzee was not given. Bumrah came in a little bit late. So yes, there are there's obviously dissatisfaction with the result. 2 losses out of 2. I I'm always a Mumbai supporter, but usually every IPL I pick another team to support. And this time the second team that I'm trying to support is actually Rajasthan Royals. I think, see, the tournament is going to be interesting. One of the bad things was very, very high scoring match, Hyderabad versus Mumbai. I lost count of like the number of sixes. Over 500 runs, 520 odd runs were being scored. So I think if this continues, why would anybody want to be a bowler? Just keep two bowling machines on two sides and let the batsman
Seriously,
hit.
yeah.
So hopefully
Yeah.
we see a better balance between bat and ball, and the IPL gets a lot more interesting over the next coming weeks.
Yeah, it's just a couple of matches in, and we've already seen some very high scoring games. So, yeah, hopefully they'll be more evenly balanced going forward. If you guys have some bets on who is likely to win the tournament, I mean, do let us know in the comments. As a Bangalore fan, I don't know. I mean, it really is a very
I
secular
think
thing
we
for
have
me.
to be happy with the women's IPL.
Women's IPL,
At
exactly.
least,
So, hey, so we've
something
already
is,
won the cup.
we've
Yeah.
already won the.
Yeah. We're screwed anyway this season. So yeah, it's been 15 seasons of heartbreak, I think. So anyway, we put out a fascinating conversation with the author Ami Ganatra last week. We covered a bunch of topics related to culture, itihasa, dharma, gender roles, etc., and the relevance and importance in the current day and age. Do check out that episode. It's been getting some very good reviews. If you haven't already, do listen to it on your favorite podcast platforms. And if you like it. Don't forget to rate, review, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. Thank you for joining us on this very special Bharat Varta Weekly. Again, I mean, if you liked this content as well, don't forget to share it with your friends and family. We'll see you again on another weekly shortly. Until then, from Neerav, Abhishek, and myself at the studio, thank you so much for joining us. Do stay safe, take care, and Jai Hind.